Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the Blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Matt Kalish, president and co-founder of DraftKings, joining us today. Matt, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Doing great. Andy and Michael are huge DraftKings fans. So, yeah, this is just really exciting, and thank you for joining us.
I'm a bigger props and drops fan, so this is really exciting. Yeah. Day one listener, it's my journey. Yeah, my journey with Gary Vee's well documented. Jennifer and I got to interview him at VCon, and I have a FaceTime frog, and so I started listening to that right away and got to know you. So I'm real excited to have you on today. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I never thought I'd do podcasts at all, and then really was Gary was the reason why with props and drops that. My first foray into doing anything, like even content wise, never thought in a million years I'd be making like podcasts, videos, whatever.
Right.
But we just had all this stuff in common. Like we were collecting sports cards and then got into NFTs. And it seemed like we were just always doing the same things at the same time and converting that into props and drops and making content about like, what are we doing? That was like the first few episodes, just kept building from there.
Yeah, it's been great. Now, you guys have put on an awesome show. I've told our listeners about it before and really enjoy it. So it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
We always got to find out how our guests got into the Web3 space. What was the first NFT that you bought?
I didn't get into NFTs until probably March 2021. It was like right a little bit after NBA Top Shots, like kind of picking up a bunch of steam. I noticed a lot of the people at DraftKings, the customers that were there 10 years ago that were like the first ever adopters of daily fantasy sports, and people that had then moved on to do other things successfully as well, like starting companies and whatever. They were just getting into this NBA Top Shot stuff and like making content, opening packs on stream. And a couple I saw like $100,000 Top Shot buys. Jonathan Bales comes to mind, Peter Jennings being some of the people. I'm like, okay, there's something going on in NFT land. I want to check this out more. And, in parallel, I was chatting with Gary, and he had mentioned a couple projects to me, one being CryptoPunks. And so I checked out CryptoPunks. By the way, like this required me setting up all my crypto stuff too. I had no crypto, which like crazy, but I didn't. Very archaic of me to not even like have ever set up an Ethereum, account and buy some coins. So yeah, I think ETH was like $1,700. CryptoPunk floor was 20 ish, 15 to 20. So it was something like a 25K floor CryptoPunk. And so I was looking at this thinking, this is crazy, and then just like bought one. I'm like, too much social pressure and evidence that people think this is smart, so I'm gonna like buy one. So took a few days, funded my account. I think it was probably like March 10th or something. I bought my first CryptoPunk, and then I joined a Telegram group of CryptoPunk owners and started like watching and listening to what everybody was talking about. And that group grew from like 20 to 30 to 40. Today has like 80 people in it that own punks. And it became like a way that I was spending tons of my time. Like, every break I had, every night, I'm in there for hours, just like sponging up a bunch of stuff. And yeah, next thing I knew, it was like by the summer, June, July of 2021, I was like one of the most active CryptoPunk like traders. I was like buying, selling them every day. There was very low action for a few months, and then it got like very hot in August. So at that time, I think I had around 20 CryptoPunks or so, and it just started going crazy. Like the market was booming, and the wins from CryptoPunks really is what got me into other projects. I started like looking around for what else is out there and broadening my horizons a bit. But I was like completely focused on punks for 4 or 5 months.
How did you decide to get the one that you're rocking right now as your Twitter PFP? Was that like one of the ones you got early on? Did you recently get that one? It's cool with the top hat.
Yeah, I've had that for over a year. It's one of my favorite. I have a zombie, which is probably the most valuable, but not necessarily like my favorite. And then this one has the aesthetic that I like more. I'm more into, everything I do in NFTs is not always about just like profit or something. I'm definitely looking for stuff that I like actually think is cool or like fits my aesthetic. So I've probably broken all of the cardinal rules of NFTs, like not just buying floors. I often will go like 2, 3, 4 plus X up. And not always to like the most premium either. I'll get stuck in like the awkward middle of like, I think it's cool enough, but then I'm the only one. And so like, I'd say the top hat punk is a good example of that. It's just like one of my favorites. I saw it. I thought it had great aesthetic. Has some like cool stats, 5 attributes, rare in punks. But like a lot of the 5 attribute punks don't look nice either. They look like pretty ugly. So I thought, I can get best of all worlds. I'll just pick this one up. So I think I got it for like 200 ETH about a little over a year ago. And like, I don't really think I'll be parting ways with it, at least not without like a big bag. It would take a lot.
ETH was like 4,500 a year ago, right? It was pretty high.
Oh yeah. Point. Yeah. It really ran up. Yeah. It was, I think the highest I ever saw was like 45. Yeah.
And that was like right about a year ago. But it's all good. Neither here nor there. I just
I was kind of like buying it the whole time. I bought it out like 1,700, 2,000. I think the most I ever paid for ETH was like 3,700 at one point. Some like dollar cost average or whatever. And then like I got some on Father's Day this year for $1,000. There was like 970, and that was the best deal I ever got. So I don't know. You can't time any of this stuff. So I think you just got to like leg in, and like if you're generally trying to buy, I think splitting it into a bunch of different chunks and like not trying to pick the perfect time is a decent strategy. And same if you're like selling and trying to exit, like why pick a certain moment? You might as well just like leg it out so you don't have any regrets. I don't know. No one's good at timing the market, in my opinion. It's like a futile task that you just can't do.
Not easy.
I do that too. Like just like dollar cost averaging in, it's like, I don't have time to think about, oh, it's cheap right now, let me buy. It's high right now, let me sell. It's like, let me just periodically just, consistently buy and make it easy for myself. I did not know you had a zombie punk. How much did you pay for the zombie?
The zombie I got like right before the boom, probably in July. It might have been June, but definitely not later than July. I paid 400 ETH. It was at the time like 980,000 US.
Dang, you could probably sell that for a pretty penny.
Nice one. Yeah. No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
That's a nice one.
Once you get into the magic internet tokens, it doesn't even feel like you're spending money. And like, I was trading punks and doing well. Like I bought and sold dozens of crypto punks. And so like, you make some trades, you end up with more ETH. Then it just feels like you're kind of,
It does feel like Monopoly money. You're right about that.
Yeah, it's a
lot of Monopoly money, but it feels like it.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. And then it really went. I mean, at one point it was like crazy. I think the punk floor was like $400,000 at one point. And so everybody's sitting on this magical like internet money that gained a bunch of value that they never really expected. And so I don't know, behavior gets weird at that point when you have all this free money that you didn't like expect to have.
100%.
It got pretty wild there. Yeah. And you ended up being a pretty solid degen, listening to props and drops. At least early on, you were buying and selling a lot of stuff, getting into a lot of projects. You still kind of do that, or has it gotten a little bit slower with the market?
Yeah. I have to be kind of like sensitive to this because at my job, it's actually like very important that I make good decisions with financial stuff, right? Like DraftKings has like giant marketing budgets. We have lots of, promo. We have like headcount, we're growing, whatever, all this stuff that's like investment in the company. And so it's like really important to have credibility and like that people understand that like, oh, I'm actually a really good analyst. I actually do know how to like think about risk reward and model things out and whatever. And that being said, like in my hobbies, I actually don't care that much about that. Like when I'm doing NFTs, when I'm collecting sports cards, like I don't necessarily care about return. I'm doing it for fun. So it's like if I'm enjoying it, if I like, I do like earning money on stuff, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't necessarily bother me either. I'm totally fine if I buy something that goes down a lot, you know. And so I think that's like and it's to the point of also being really irreverent about it. Like I really just don't care. And so because of that, I think it causes like a certain view of maybe like what people think of me. So I have to be really careful about that. Yeah, but what I would say is, I don't have a strong sense of like worry about something not going well. I'm very comfortable losing like large sums of money on NFTs. And it's like, I've also made large sums on certain trades. It's just like, is what it is. And it's all just part of my like magic internet budget that doesn't count for anything other than fun. And I think it's a good way, whether you have like very little or a lot, like financially wise, I mean, whether you have like small budget or big budget or in the middle, it's like a good way of thinking about it in these spaces because they're so speculative. Like things could really go awesome or not. And like just having that carved off where you're not like reacting too strongly, like the like emotional side doesn't kick you if you lose money on something. Like it's nice to have that carved off budget for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point for everybody. And people have said it all along. Don't put anything in that you can't afford to lose. It's like a lot of things, you know. That's
it's the same as any other. It's like when you're doing gambling or something, you don't want to go in and like that should be a budget that you're comfy with.
Yeah, and trying not to be emotional is super hard. But it also is like, if you're trying to get attention, you do want to be super emotional, right? Like all the people in those Twitter spaces and everything, they're being very emotional. They're not being, they're being irrational and everything. And that's like what gets people's attention because it's like, it's kind of the extremes. But, really, you don't want to be like that. You want to be the opposite. You want to be logical. You want to be calm. But of course, that's not exciting, But yeah, I'm curious, how did DraftKings get into NFTs? So I know, you've talking to Gary, you started growing a collection, CryptoPunks, flipping them. When did you decide to kind of, okay, DraftKings is now going to, dip into NFTs?
Fairly immediate. So there was always this thought that I've had in my head of people doing stuff like day trading stocks, speculating crypto, like buying sports cards or whatever. Like all of that is kind of like also the same customer that DraftKings have, just people that like predicting things or having something on the line, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't or whatever. But it's like that process of just like playing games or predicting things that aren't easily solved. And what's cool about NFTs is that it's all digital, and DraftKings is all digital. Like we have very little, it's like 1% retail and 99% through our apps is our business. So it never really made that much sense for like DraftKings as a company to get too invested in something like physical sports cards or something, Whereas NFTs, it's like perfect. Everybody can transact in the same way that they're accustomed to, like through the apps. And there's a lot of benefits too, I think, like the ability to just like very real time transact in a marketplace that has like many, many, many thousands of people. Like the buy sell experience, I think, is really like much nicer with digital assets than maybe something like traditional sports cards. And so I viewed it like a way to serve that customer and that need, but with a product that makes more sense for DraftKings, and like why we would do it. And so how that's evolved was like we built up a bunch of Web3 tech. We entered a relationship with Polygon as a validator, built a bunch of kind of capabilities from a blockchain standpoint. And then we also went around and did some deals like with sports leagues and players associations so that we could create like IP driven NFTs. And so the biggest kind of angle in that we took, because we've done some collectible projects and things that are maybe like smaller scale, but the biggest bet that DraftKings is making is really on the gameplay front, and like the belief that most people are on DraftKings because they like playing games that are related to sports and predicting things and whatever. And so we created this game franchise called Reignmakers, which is really like an NFT driven fantasy game that has a ton of different mechanics that I think are really disruptive to like the type of experience that our customer wants. So that's in year one. Like we launched a few months ago for the start of football season. And very recently launched UFC, which is the second sport under Reignmakers. And that's really like our long-term investment that we're making around like gameplay using NFTs in this kind of Web3 era.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you guys, I've seen you guys have also done a lot of partnerships with, you know, like projects and people like in this space, which I think is really smart. I'm curious how the Deadfellas collab came about, because we had Betty on, one of the co-founders of Deadfellas, quite a while ago, and yeah, they're really doing great, heads down building, you know, doing a lot of things for the community. And yeah, I'm also, I guess, curious on the selection process of, okay, how did you decide to partner with, you know, Deadfellas and Subducks?
Subducks,
yeah, I'm like, okay,
Subducks,
what was that decision process like, and like the vetting process of these projects to collaborate with?
So anybody who has like a real long-term commitment to project and like a solid team, solid community behind their project, we would collaborate with. And, you know, early on, we did week 3 of the football season, which was late September. I believe it was like 20 NFT projects. We bought like some of the content and did contests in Reignmakers to win. So it was everything from like Alien Friends, Doodles. We gave away a punk. We gave away a BAYC. We gave away like, geez, I can't remember, like a crypto dick butts, which is like personal favorite. I think I have like 25 in the bag. It's like my number one. Like I'm never bearish on the culture of that. Like you name it. So like we had about 20, all of them were these projects that had like the CCO rights, you know, the commercial rights around promotion. Like it wouldn't make sense. Like we want to tell people what you can win in prizes and stuff, right? So like the CCO rights were really the criteria in that case. And so we just did the outreach. We're like, somebody's winning these, you know, in our Reignmakers contest in week 3. And so it was a combo of people coming on from those communities and then DraftKings users who maybe didn't have any exposure to those communities, checking them out. And so I think that's a good cross-pollination, you know, of the two worlds. And then we did deeper partnerships out of the gates with Gary and VFriends. We did with Steve Aoki. We did a big program with him as well. And then later in the season, what you're referring to, we launched some content that was like literally created by the artists of Deadfellas, where they zombified NFL players. You could open packs and you got, you know, all of them were really good. It was like whatever, Kyler Murray or whatever, like really top quarterbacks and skill position players. And so we did that drop.
Kyler Murray's a top tier
a little sketchy, I guess, like this season, but he'll get there. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
Well, he will, yeah.
Right. Yeah, his, I think 2022 is a little questionable. Yeah, so that came up just through like course of business, just trying to stay in touch with all the different big projects, big communities. There's a couple of people in the company, one named Megan Montgomery and Beth Berger. They do a lot of work on our marketplace and Web3 strategy. And I believe it was like at an NFT event, like NFT NYC or something. They just ran into Betty and team, shared more about Reignmakers. And so one thing like kind of leads to another, you know. Yeah, that was one that came quickly. And then, yeah, similarly, we did a like PFP style drop that had utility in Reignmakers with Subducks. And they created like a new project called Sly Crocs, which is really cool. Like same aesthetic basically as Subducks, but has like utility for people on the platform. So like just a small sample of what's to come. Like we would do these all day. Like anybody who has a great project, anybody who's like long-term committed, like it's not going to go anywhere, like we want to work with. So look forward to the next one and the next one.
Oh, that's kind of some alpha. Okay, any projects listening that are here for the long haul, I guess reach out to Matt.
Yeah, Matt's DMs are open. Everybody DM Matt constantly.
That is kind of like what happens anyway, so it's all good. Like you'll find if you do literally DM me, you'll get to the right place.
Nice.
Do you have people kind of like running your account, or is it like just you, like just constantly checking things?
No, I do on like Twitter and Instagram. I have like I definitely post, but I also there's like eyeballs on it, so things don't get.
You have to have that. Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah, Michael, you got an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Andy.
No,
Wow.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, anything on my account, it's like a 50-50 chance if it was me or if it was not me. But
that's funny.
That's awesome. I think more
usually if
do
it's
that.
like a really shitty looking tweet about like the Celtics or something, it was probably me. And if it's like something that looks businessy, it was probably somebody that's more businessy.
Okay, that's how we'll know.
Can I? Yep.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I want to ask how what went into you guys choosing Polygon? I always find it interesting. It kind of seems like right now the consumer blockchain is really either Polygon or Flow seem like the two leaders. I wonder if you had any insight on what you guys like about Polygon.
Yeah, lots of stuff. I mean, the immediate appeal was sort of because some of these decisions were made over a year ago, right? So there is some immediate stuff around like environmental or gas fee related benefits. Also, just like the depth of the partnership that we have with like Polygon, right? It was not just we're using it and building tech, but like we're validators. We have a significant like business relationship. So the ability to go deeper and like make a longer term plan around like a certain tech stack was important. And then the like initial vision, because our marketplace is custodial, like we keep the NFT content, we keep custody of it, and it's sort of more ledger based. So until or unless people remove things from the marketplace into like the Wild West, it's just sort of held in custody of DraftKings. So it gave us a really good solution that met our like tech needs around the like sort of off-chain aspect while still giving us the ability to like deliver the customer value prop of like, I want to take my assets off DraftKings and whatever, maybe like bridge them to Ethereum mainnet or something, right? Like all of that is possible. And I think if it was a blockchain, like a Flow or something, like it doesn't have quite the same compatibility with the Ethereum mainnet and things like that. So we were just thinking a few steps ahead of like how to balance everything that we wanted to do and like what blockchains we wanted to be compatible with. I know the world's always changing too, and like who knows what kind of like sort of solutions will pop up that are more agnostic to chain and like just give people like infinite leverage to do anything. Like one thing that I really like was with historical NFTs, there was this thing called like Emblem Vault. I don't know if you're familiar with
That's where the rare Pepes are, right?
Yeah. Really, really amazing invention because you can like throw assets from any blockchain into these vaults and then sell them. And like that was the only way that ever I would have looked at some of these historical NFTs from like Namecoin or whatever. Like, and I ended up going kind of deep in that space, like some of the like earliest projects, but you would never have access to that if you were just like Ethereum mainnet, no sense of like products that help you bridge the different blockchains. So I thought Emblem Vault was a cool example, and who knows what will happen in the future, but like at the time we thought that gave us the best chance to be sort of compatible with Ethereum mainnet.
I think Polygon's still in a really good spot. I mean, Starbucks chose them. I think they're on some kind of Disney accelerator program. So I think it's definitely a good spot. That low gas fees, makes it easy to use for everybody. You definitely couldn't do Ethereum, right? I guess that was the first thing. Like, what happens when gas goes to 100 and we're trying to transfer things around, right?
Because we like when in a world where we wanted to take fiat payments, because on DraftKings people hold a balance of money in their account.
Yep,
it's the same account you use to play Reignmakers or do something in the marketplace. And so it was pretty important for like as a company for us to be able to take the like payments in fiat. And if it's a mass market product, there's millions of users too, so if it's a mass market product with hundreds of thousands of people that costs $20, gas fees just don't really work.
It's impossible. It's impossible for something like that.
And there's already enough things, like enough hurdles. You don't need to also deal with the like onerous gas fee. So we just like in the marketplace solution we built prioritized having no fees on the like gas side.
I like that. I did a bunch of Reignmakers. Obviously, I learned about it, props and drops, was ready for it right when you guys were starting because, you guys talked about it a lot, did that whole breakdown of it. Got, I didn't go nuts, but I bought some packs and got that Superstar pack and played some. And it's been a lot of fun. It's really unique, and it's good. We've actually seen a couple come along. There's a basketball one out there. Like people are doing something similar. It's a really cool way to use NFTs. I wonder, one thing I would like is maybe to be able to carry the players further years. Like, so I feel like I should probably get rid of mine before the end of the year if there's not like somebody I love. You know what I mean? I don't know what you think. Obviously you want to keep it going, keep revenue building for consecutive years, but I feel like maybe if there were like, you could chase the rookies this year, there's no real reason to chase the rookies that aren't playing. I guess for them to be their rookie cards in the future, but any thought about that or what? Like, it's always just going to be single year use.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of factors there. And I think not really any right answer or wrong answer, but the model that we went after in year one was to fund a like very large amount of prizes in the year one contest. So like over $30 million of cash in year one, like is being paid out. And with no fee, right? It's just the NFT ownership that's the expense people have. There's not like a fee to play in these contests. And so the like main decision is like if they always worked, it would probably be like less in year one and more spread out. Or it could just be like heavy year one and every year you kind of opt back in and decide like, yeah, I'm going after it this year heavier or whatever. All of the cards in this season have future utility. So like there's going to always be contests that you can play, but I think in future years, it'll just be more like the amount that the company puts up will be meaningfully less. And it'll be more like to win cards in the current season and things like that will be the utility, or playing friends for cash, playing in public leagues for cash. So there'll be like some morphing of the game from like a future year utility standpoint.
Okay.
A few other things too, like there's burn mechanics that are introduced in year two where like you can burn past season cards for benefits in the current season. The other thing that I like always keep in mind here is that there's like a merging of a bunch of different worlds in this game. And like one of those worlds is traditional collectors, like sports card or TCG collectors. And in addition to like the fantasy game utility, there's also just this world of people, like I would consider myself one of these, where you're either like a set collector or you go super hard against like certain objectives on collecting. And as that piece of the business grows and expands, I think having like these annual set like additions really like plays to a lot of like what a collector is looking for in like traditional sports card land. You know, like rookies and stuff like that. If you just think about, you know, how that world works, it's like rookies or like cohorts of players are often collected by certain people. Mine is Celtics. Like in sports card land, I collect Celtics. I have, you know, giant collections of like Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams is like my favorite. I like the best Robert Williams collection for sure. No one would be anywhere near it. I have like, God, I don't know, some pretty good Tatum stuff. Like, I don't know, but only Celtics, right? And that's just how people think and behave a lot. And so I think like always having that the mindfulness about like how people like to collect these sort of things is helpful.
Yeah, no, I get that. Those are really good points. I wanted to play more. I got some stuff, and then you know I have 3 fantasy teams as it is, and 3 kids, and it's like hard to get in there every week. But I do really enjoy. Like I enjoyed the ones I played. I didn't go crazy buying like all the best players. I did get a Christian McCaffrey. I got lucky.
There you go.
And my quarterback was like Jameis Winston though, so I got kind of screwed on that one. I should have picked up Jalen Hurts before the season. I'm a Philly guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you had the crystal ball on that would have been nice.
Right.
I mean, the thing with the game is it's like there's 5 tiers of, you know, there's one tier up top that's like very scarce called Reignmaker. There's only 8 of every athlete. Yeah. And so like Christian McCaffrey or something, there'd only be 8 total lineups that could have him any given week, right? Because that's all that exists. And then as you go down, though, it becomes more mainstream, you know, like more accessible. Really tried to build the game where like you could play for free. If you want to play like at the lowest tier with a really competitive lineup, it's, you know, well under $100. It's probably like $50-ish to play like one of the best lineups at core, which is the lowest tier. And then as you go up, it's kind of like factors of 4 to 5x. So it would be like, you know, maybe $200 maybe a little more at the start of the season to build a really good rare lineup, and you just kind of go from there. So I think it gives people like a lot of choices. You can decide like what your budget is, you can decide what tier you want to play on based on that, but also if you want to play just one lineup, or if you like putting in maybe like 10 different teams, like with the same budget, you could play like higher tier one lineup, or you could play like a bunch of lineups at a lower tier. And so a lot of that stuff, I think, is we just wanted to give a lot of layers to the game, let people like decide how they want to play, and try to build a system that's compatible with all of the ways people want to play.
What's the highest individual sale you guys have had? Out of curiosity.
30K. So I think, the highest pack was 30K. The highest sale I can remember off the top of my head was 25,000 for like a Cooper Cup Reignmaker Genesis set, 1 of 1. Or it may have been the Field Pass set. So yeah, 25K was the highest that I'm like immediately familiar with. I might be missing something. So yeah, call me out if I'm missing.
Do you play? Do you have like a stacked team?
Unable.
Or does it?
So look, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in regulated gaming.
Of course.
But like nobody in the company plays fantasy. Like we don't use our own platform basically in the company. So if it's something that we offer in fantasy or sportsbook or whatever, or the marketplace, like we have company rules. So I just get like an error message that says like bad, you're not allowed to buy stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, that really came from, it's like a consumer trust sort of thing where people at the scale of company, like they want to know that people in the company are like working on the product for their benefit. And you see these stories like the thing at OpenSea where the guy with the merchandising zones was like put up a project after he bought it or something. Like you just don't want to deal with any of this stuff, right? Even if it's just bad optics, we don't ever want to deal with that. Like the risk of people thinking that like people are.
You go and win the Bored Ape or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate because I would certainly love to, like the stuff I buy, if you look through my wallet, isn't like laden with crazy utility or anything. It's like art stuff or whatever, PFP projects. Yeah, I'd love to get deeper in a game that's maybe like a little closer to my interests, and maybe that will happen one day. But for now, we're the ones building it. So like, what can you do? I guess that's the next best thing is like spending my time building it.
Yeah, that's probably better. It's probably better anyway. I like it.
How many people do you guys have working at DraftKings?
The total company is around 4,000, and then the way that's split up is because we have really big teams on things like customer experience, like the customer support, really big teams on stuff like sports betting, where we're creating thousands and thousands of betting markets for every game. And so everything from like the modeling, the trading, bet acceptance, like all of that's huge. And then, it's just like the span of products we have over the years have grown, and that's resulted in us like building our team. We have over 1,000 engineers, like really, I don't know, it's like a tech company with like an operations arm pretty much.
Wow. Yeah. And DraftKings, you co-founded it in 2012. So it's been literally a decade, which is insane. Barely, and I don't know what percent of businesses make it, to 1 year, let alone 10. But I'm curious, what's one of the hardest things about being the president of DraftKings?
We've had, all things considered, a really great run. Things have like gone our way often enough. We've like definitely had our fair share of things that didn't feel so great, but like, we're, all things considered, I think we had a pretty blessed, lucky road the last 10 years, and like we're in the right place at the right time a lot. And I hope also get credit for like good decisions on what sort of like products we've entered, like choosing to go after sports betting in the US, for example. And now with the Web3 investments, I think hopefully that will all like history will look great. But I would say it's like combo of like scale, going from very small team to like thousands of employees. It's extremely taxing, many people, but in particular, like our managers and our senior leaders, like very challenging to just like onboard, bring on like so many people keep a functioning organization, keep the culture of the organization like the way that we envision it. All that's very tough. And we're really proud that we've never had like anything like workforce reduction or anything like that. Like we've really focused on like scale, but do it the right way, like sustainable, thoughtful. So I'd say that's like the biggest thing, just like taking that responsibility really seriously to not like get out of control with scaling the company and still achieve really great things. Then the other thing I'd say is like competition and just like constant, like the need when we're in multiple products to like constantly be evaluating like, how is everyone doing? What are like differentiators? What are we doing that stands out? What sort of things do you see around the corner coming that we want to invest in? For example, like the Web3 investments in part come from like, I'm looking around the corner and I could see more people, spending their time in different ways than they did in 2019 or 2018, into the future. So like you have to start laying those foundations. So I'd say it's just like those sort of decisions can have high stakes and can be tough. Like you got to use good judgment and like there's not always a perfect right answer. So I'd say those are some of the tougher things. And what makes it easy is like we have always had an extremely like high talent bar and a lot of success attracting talent that's like very, very like A+ top tier. And so I have like the best team. I feel like my direct reports are all just absolute like heavy hitters. Total like if I got hit by a bus, everything would be fine, So like that's like what's awesome about DraftKings. And I feel like all of my peers, like all of our executives would say the same thing, like amazing people. And if I got hit by a bus, it would be fine,
Oh my gosh, please don't manifest that.
Yeah.
No, but that's great. Yeah, having systems in place and like people that are okay, you can remove yourself and the company doesn't fall apart. Like that's huge. Wow, I did not know you guys had 4,000 people. I mean, across everything, right? Like there's a lot of different components to DraftKings. And are you going to any NFT events coming up? Do you ever go to NFT events?
I do. I think the next one, I don't know if you would consider this an NFT event, but I'm going to the Art Basel events that a bunch of different operators
everyone's going to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Miami in December.
We'll be down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, especially because up in Boston it gets cold. So it's like right around when you're starting to look to go south. And it'll be perfect. Love Miami. Definitely we'll be checking out. I don't know if you have any recommendations, let me know, but like some of the VFriend stuff, World of Women have something that I'm checking out.
Yep.
And then not sure everything yet, but
Doodles. You got to go to the Doodles event. They're doing like a doodle putt. It's like a 2-day experience. They always oh my gosh. I don't know if have you been to any other Doodles events?
So I haven't, but I've always
they blow it out of the park. Yeah. You have to go. Like they always go above and beyond and just like, it's like, wow, like how did they think of all this? And they definitely put a lot of money behind it, but they're just like, they just do such a great job with their events. Yeah, I'm excited to see I'm going to the World of Women one too, the gala. That should be cool. I got to figure out, you always got a last minute, like, okay, what are all the events, I'm going to.
And then they all start popping up the last minute too. There's like a million things pop up. Yep. The VFriends you mentioned, there's one particularly for, what is it? Not FaceTime, whatever they call it, not utility holders, but whatever, the special where you get the FaceTimes and the group calls with Gary. There's like a special dinner for that. Hopefully, I don't know if you'll show up to that one. There's like 300 tokens.
Yeah. I'll be checking that out for sure.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Nice.
But you're right. There's always so many things to go to. I went to Miami last year and it was like when everybody got COVID in Miami. So I look forward to not getting COVID, hopefully.
Yep. Yeah. It's just
good luck in Miami.
It's the price you pay.
I just remember thinking COVID's over. And then after the Miami NFT event, then it was like, no, it's not. Everybody got COVID.
The same thing keeps happening. It happened to NYC as well. Like everyone gets together from all over the world. Like no kidding. And we're all in like these little tight.
Yeah.
I was just at NFT London just a few days ago. Now I'm in Madrid tonight.
There we go. There's always another city and another NFT event.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that.
London was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Anything stand out? Like what was like impactful?
For me, just the people I got to hang out with. I got to hang out with a lot of friends I made that live over in Europe that I've never met before. The conferences, honestly, to me, are basically advertisements. The people that apply to speak, for the most part, are trying to sell something. All the booths are, it's not stuff you're really that into. Like, you go around and they all got the buzzwords, metaverse game and this and that. And it's just, I don't know. It just kind of seems run of the mill to me, but I got to hang out with some amazing people. My buddy Q, I met for the first time. And, Neosporin from one of my buddies from NFT Catcher in the Discord, hung out with him all day, and my buddy Af. And I just went to a lot of parties, went to the Nifty Alpha party, went to OSF's Wrecked Guy, which was crazy, at this place called The Box. It was a whole scene. London's pretty wild.
Like they did in
yeah, it was. There were, I don't know, it said what happens at the Wrecked Guy party stays at the Wrecked Guy party. There, right? So yeah, right. I guess not. Yeah, but that was my first time in London. It's a pretty happening place. London was popping off. That was good. And Madrid is my third time here. I love it. I love it in Madrid. I'm right on Plaza Mayor right now. I was actually supposed to go to a Real Madrid game tonight, but this was more important. I'm very dedicated. I know. And they were losing 1-0 last I looked. So it could have been a huge upset, but that's neither here nor there.
Good miss. I just started watching that show, the Wrexham show with, was it Ryan Reynolds, and somebody else bought the team, I guess. And it's like,
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I know what you're
the show's pretty cool. Got me a little more interested, I would say, in soccer, but like it's never really been my interest. I'm like all in on hoops.
Same here. Then, same here.
Like I have season tickets to the Celtics. I go every game. Nothing else is like on my UFC. I like going to UFC. Like soccer never made the cut, and then like the Wrexham show kind of like put it on my radar a bit. It seems cool. Like I want to check that out.
Yeah. No, it's a good. I mean, it's a good vibe, good scene. I'm the same way. I'm a Philly guy. I know you're a Boston guy here. I know you have courtside season tickets right by like the away team. I like how you say you think you like you can affect the game a little bit with some of your comments. You do?
Yeah, I do. No, I say half because it's like
a half point. Okay.
Yeah, it's about a half point because it's like net 3 points home field or home court.
Right. Are you a half on top of that?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I might be incremental to that. Like, it's because I'm pretty annoying.
You're a good heckler. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I used to do the same thing. I'm a big Sixers fan, just the same way. And every time the Sixers play in Miami, I go down. I live near Miami, and I was a ticket burger, so I always used to get seats right behind the Sixers bench. And I felt like if I was letting them know, play a little defense, boys, it would help. But who knows?
Yeah. It's it's always a fine line because I'm not trying to catch any of that smoke either. I don't want problems. So I'm much. Yeah, you have to be real strategic with how you annoy people, so you don't get yourself on the wrong side of someone.
You don't get Draymond Green, Jordan Poole in you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like pretty nice. I've never been thrown out of a game for sure. Not even close. Mm-hmm. And that being said, though, I do find myself to be quite annoying.
Yeah. If Gary gets down there with you, he probably gets pretty loud. He probably doesn't care, does he?
Yeah, Gary, I don't think cares. He's like, what does he say? It's like sports hate or something. He doesn't consider it to be like hate if it's sports related. So anything that you say is like fair game in sports.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Where did you happen to be at Super Bowl 52, Eagles Patriots?
No, not Eagles Patriots. The only one I went to is Atlanta when they came back 28-3.
Oh wow, that's a good one to go to. That's a good one to go to.
Yeah. That was my only Patriots Super Bowl, and then I went to one other. What was it?
I only mentioned 52 because I was there. I wanted to one up you. I'm an Eagles fan. Obviously, we beat you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I would trade spots right now. Eagles look great. Was that 8?
With the World Series. Yeah, that was a heartbreaking loss. The games were on at midnight and 1 a.m. every night. I was up till 4 and 5 a.m. watching these games last week. Yeah, it was wild. What a run, though. It was a great run, but a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah. It's good, though. Not a bad time to be like Philadelphia sports fan. Sixers are like kind of in the mix. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Sixers are in trouble right now. Harden's out for a month and Embiid's been out for like a week.
Yeah.
Sixers they're not looking good. You guys have our number big time. You guys are really good. I mean, Tatum's incredible.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. I definitely think the Celtics should win. Or at least like they'll be down there right at the end.
Yeah, now they're going. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. That's no doubt. Crazy about the coach.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. That was pretty wild.
The new coach is awesome.
Jennifer probably doesn't know that story.
Missoula's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Okay.
I think all the data people, they noticed this thing, which was like our shot selection. I don't know if you're like a big math sports person. I'm not. But I got sent this chart that was like the Celtics shot selection is much better this year. From this guy Haralabos Vulgaris, who's like a famous NBA sports bettor guy, and he was working on the Mavericks for a while on like their data. It was almost like Moneyball but basketball, and he was like the data brain person. And so anyway, he's like their shot selection is like X better. And so I mentioned that to Missoula because I saw him like 2 days ago randomly at this dinner, and I was like, congrats on the job, man. You guys' shot selections look better this year. And he just like lights up. He's like, that's what I've been working on with the team. Like, you look at the shot chart and it's like every single shot is like a 3 right on the line or a dunk. There's no like long bullshit, nothing. It's like real disciplined. So anyway, I think, they're really getting tight on the strategy, and they have good players. So we'll see.
Yeah, really good players. Yeah, you guys are good, man. Tatum's tough. I don't like Tatum. I'm a Sixers fan, but we're he's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm sure that it'll be a fight in the end.
Always.
All right. Well, as we wrap this interview up, coming to a close here, Michael, do you have any last minute questions?
Yeah, I want to know, what do you see as like the future of the NFT space? If you had to, like, what do you think it's going to look like a few years, 5 years, consumer products, like what's going to be popular? What's it going to look like? What are your predictions?
I think there's like some aspects that because if you've been listening to the Props and Drops pod, we talk about that a lot. And like a while back, we were talking a lot about how, NFT winter would come, everything would get smoked at some point, aside from like top 1%. And in general, I believe that. And my like mindset is that if you think about all the art that gets created in the world that's physical, like how much actually sells for more than 1 cent ever. It's probably very close to like, under 1% probably, right? So like how much digital art deserves to be like bought for money, it's probably like long-term, limited to just really quality, right? So I think that's probably like one aspect, just market composition moving towards like fine, I guess you would say like the equivalent of like fine art, digital art that's like very upmarket and coveted, and like historical projects that are very coveted, and then most things that just aren't. And then like over time, as like really quality projects get created, then they'll have demand. But I don't think it'll be like everything is worth more than zero. And definitely think like the as more companies have time to build, like we've spent a year plus, but it's not like that much time. As more companies and more like operators have time to actually like build technology, build towards like long-term goals. I know many probably like deprioritize this during bear market stuff, but like smart companies, I don't think do that. So they're building towards the idea of like there's a cycle and 2025 will be awesome. So yeah, I'm like very interested in what type of like advancements can be made on like the tech and utility side with the benefit of like multiple years to develop technology. Because a lot of people, I think, were looking for quick, immediate, like cash.
Using
like the capabilities that exist now, which were basically just like dropping in it, like minting and dropping NFTs, right? Like that was like what people could do.
Yeah.
And I just know because we're building tech, right? So it's hard to build good tech that like has lots of features and does stuff. So it's like if you want to build a cool game, it takes a year. If you want to build, layers on top of that of like gamification and this and that and all of this sort of advancement and great user experiences, it's like it takes years. So yeah, my guess would be like handful of really amazing technology like stacks are being built right now, and things that will turn into like really sick projects. Yeah, like I always thought metaverse was weird, like the concept around like this digital like manifestation of, because I used to play this game World of Warcraft when I was like in college or right after college, and I like loved World of Warcraft, and I thought that that was cool. Like you can build an avatar and like improve it and whatever. And so like that's cool. And my daughter plays a shit ton of Roblox and like always meets her friends on there. And so I get the appeal of that. But like to me, it all seems like games. I feel like people really just want to be on the internet to play games. It's not like a replacement for your actual life. So I'm like viewing metaverse as sort of like games or like more limited experiences. And so other than that, I don't know. I'm like not trying to predict anything too much into the future, and like more just try to like pay attention, and as things become more clear, be like in the know and be quick, you know?
Yeah, even just being here like during the bear market, like and just observing, you know, is huge. I think people kind of think like, oh, I need to be doing something, buying or building or whatever, but even just observing, like, you know, you can see opportunities and jump on them when they come up if you're just here watching. But yeah, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was great. Yeah, it was nice to be able to chat with you, and I enjoyed hearing you and Michael talk about NFL, even though I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you know, you guys seem excited, so
I could have talked the whole time about sports. I was definitely really excited to have you on, Matt. I know we wanted to talk Reignmakers and NFTs and everything, but I love your passion for sports. I'm the same way in Philly. Hopefully our paths cross in Miami.
Right on. All right, well, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that said, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.